Is her dead son on display at a museum because she is convinced he is? Chris Eric was born in Mesquite in Texas, and he was an incredibly kind guy. He absolutely loved sport. He was an incredible athlete, but he was also really religious. He was always super happy and making people laugh, but like I said, he would attend church very regularly. He was very serious about his faith. There were honestly no real signs that his life was about to end in the most tragic and unsettling way. But in 2012, when Chris was 23, he was struggling with addiction, and I believe he was taking Adderall. For some reason, the police were involved, and Chris had been ordered to go to court for something sort of substance abuse related, but charges were later dropped. Now, Chris did show up for court and headed back home afterwards to his nan's house. 2 days after, he was found dead in his bed. Chris's mum, Kim, said she wasn't there at the time. She was just told that he died in his sleep peacefully, but that didn't really make much sense for a 23-year-old. The initial narrative was, oh, he had a heart defect and he had a heart attack. But after Kim pressed the medical examiner, the cause of death changed. He was allegedly found to have cyanide in his system, literal poison. And despite how suspicious that sounds, officials documented his death as undetermined means and ruled it a self-unaliving. But things get even weirder. Kim was told that her son was cremated, and obviously when you have a relative cremated, you don't literally go in and watch that happen. You kind of just have to take their word for it. But later she had this horrific shock when she visited a museum in Vegas. Over a decade after her son's mysterious death, while attending this Real Bodies exhibition, she stopped dead in her tracks. The one body on display was the spitting image of her son. So much so that she was stunned into silence. She was shocked to her core. She said, I was actually looking at my son's skinned, butchered body. She said it was gut-wrenching. And apparently it wasn't just the face that looked identical. It was markings on his actual body, like scarring that Chris had, which got Kim thinking, has my son actually been sold to this museum? Now, I know this sounds crazy, but I have seen cases where family members had no idea that their loved ones' bodies were actually being sold. Families have sometimes been told a loved one was cremated when they actually weren't, but it's hard to tell whether it's true in this case. Kim is battling to get what she believes to be her dead son's body back. But the exhibit said there is no factual basis for these allegations. We extend our sympathy to the family, but the referenced specimen cannot be associated with the individual named in these claims. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think this could possibly be true?